It is December, which is blowing my freaking mind, but it's okay because December is one of my favorite months because it's so fun. And I really wanted to talk a little bit about hibernation season right now. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at, is like this hibernation season feeling and what that consists of, what it looks like, and is it a good thing, is it a bad thing, all of the stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about hibernation season and do a couple updates too, because we've got a lot going on in life and I feel like we haven't done like a good deep dive update in a minute. So let's do this. I am such a sucker right now for a hot tea, specifically like a lemon balm with some local raw honey and maybe like a smidge of milk. I never put milk in my tea until I went to London. And when I started doing that, it just feels magical. It just feels better. I honestly don't feel like it really even changes the flavor that much for me. Obviously, it makes it creamier. But besides that, I'm just obsessed with a little bit of milk in my tea. So obviously, that's what we're drinking because it's so good and so soothing. And I feel like it's the perfect drink to have as we jump into the hibernation season episode. It's just like chef's kiss. It just goes so well with what we're going to talk about today, okay? But before we do that, I want to give you guys some updates, okay? So first things first, talked a little bit about this on social media, but I have been in like a reading groove with a lot of like the dystopian fantasy books, you know, think like Hunger Games, think like Divergent, think like Fourth Wing, you know, those types of books, okay? So good, so good. And there's this like common theme, obviously, where the girl is like very weak. She's not strong at all. And then she like somehow gets roped into like a school or a class or, you know, an event where all of a sudden she has to start training. And she starts training and then she just gets like ripped, shredded, and can take down like 6 dudes within like 2 weeks. Okay. So obviously fake, obviously not, you know, real, but I just like always feel so inspired, you know, like those training montages and stuff. And like my favorite montage ever is the Devil Wears Prada, like fashion montage. And let me tell you, if I ever feel like I'm in a fashion like rut, I just watch Devil Wears Prada and all of a sudden I'm the most fashionable person in my head again. So anyways, kind of similar vibes. So I'm like thinking about these montages of like training and getting so strong and being able to like beat up people. And I love it. I love it so much. My husband says I'm going through my 6th grade boy phase. He says that every 6th grade boy goes through this phase where he thinks that he can beat everybody up and that all he wants to do is kind of like fight people. And he says that I'm going through my 6th grade boy phase. And ever since he said that to me, it just like, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So what did I do? Well, first of all, I posted a video and then an MMA fighter reached out to me. She was like, girl, totally get this. This is like, these are the classes you should take. These are the types of like things you should do. So she sent me a couple options of like fighting classes that I could start taking so I could just like learn to defend myself. Because here's the thing, I've done self-defense classes before. They always start with like a presentation. It's always like the best defense is like staying alert. You know what I mean? It's good, but you're not really learning to like flip a dude over and like bring him to his knees, you know? And that was kind of what I was looking for, is I wanted to be like punching something and like kicking something. So I didn't need another self-defense class. I wanted to like learn to fight. So I did a bunch of research, talked to this girl, and I started Muay Thai. Muay Thai is freaking fun, okay? It's kicking and punching, elbowing, all the things. You wear like shin guards. You have like gloves on that are like boxing gloves. And I go 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. I don't always make it in on Saturdays. And I just like you do like a whole warm-up workout, which feels good anyways. And then you literally jump into like these like intense movements of like, you learn combos. So you learn like punches with kicks and elbows, and then you like add on to the combos, and then you like learn how to do like intensive kicks at the end. And like, it is just so freaking fun. And I'm obsessed with the whole thing. Okay. I literally just enjoy it so much. It's really fun. So I do the women's only class, because I didn't want to be up against a dude, but they did say that I could go against a dude if I wanted to. So anyways, that's life update number 1 is I'm learning to fight and I freaking love it. It's amazing. Life update number 2 kind of goes along with that. I started cold plunging. So fun. Okay. So a company, Deep Dive Wellness, sent over a cold plunge tub. It's amazing. It's honestly crazy. So the first time I've ever done a cold plunge was in Finland this past summer. And we did the whole like jump into the freezing cold lake that was icy and like do the whole sauna experience afterwards. And it was so fun. And I felt amazing afterwards. Like my whole body just felt like just like top tier. I felt like I was like literally like a child again. And I have always been interested in it. So when they reached out, they offered to send over the cold plunge tub, and I was like, yes, let's do this. And so my husband and I have been cold plunging, and literally it's such a game changer. Like my body just feels so good afterwards, and it's incredible. So my next step is to somehow get a sauna involved here. But I'm extremely claustrophobic, so I have to be very careful because like breathing in hot air in an enclosed space is never okay for me. But if you listen to our last episode with Sarah, we talked a lot about infrared red light saunas and what that kind of looks like, and you can leave your head out of a couple of them. So next phase. But anyways, in my cold plunging era, even though it's December and I love it, it's really fun. My last update for you guys, I'm not sharing this on social media. I probably really won't share this on social media, but it's something I want to talk to you about. We've officially got licensed to do short-term foster care. We're starting with short-term for the time being, just to kind of get our feet wet. So we'll be helping out foster parents who are currently fostering, and like taking the kiddos if they need a break or anything like that, or if something happens. But we'll also be doing short-term fostering for the state, where, you know, if we're waiting for family members to arrive because there was an accident with the parents or a short stint in rehab, whatever, we'll help out with the kiddos. So yeah, we're licensed for that. Any day now we could get some kiddos in our home, which is like mind-boggling. It's literally so insane, and I just am so grateful for this entire experience. It's something that has always been very, very much so on my heart. It's something I've always known I wanted to do. And honestly, on our first date, this is something that I told Matt I wanted to do, and he has been nothing but supportive and incredible through this whole thing, like going to all the trainings with me, doing everything, prepping our house, honestly choosing the house we did, so that we could have foster kiddos in our home, and just loving on kids that are going through a really, really hard time. And I think that Matt is one of the most incredible men, and he is so equipped for that role, where he can be very like strict with things, but he's also so loving. And a lot of people think he's scary looking. I get that all the time. Like people are always like, oh my gosh, Matt's terrifying looking, which I don't necessarily always understand because I know him so well, because he looks like he would maybe be scary, but he's like just the sweetest guy in the world. And so I think that combo is going to be really beneficial when helping children in our home to just have a space where they feel safe, they feel protected, and they feel loved. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and it's wild. So any day now we'll get a call and they'll be like, hey, we have, you know, X amount of kids. Here's their file. We'll learn about, you know, what kind of, I don't want to call them issues, but what kind of, maybe like circumstances they've gone through and what kind of behavior things they have. And then we will be able to take in kiddos, including like siblings and stuff like that. So it's an insane time in our lives, like literally insane. But at the same time, I just feel like the cold weather and everything is putting me in this state of like, I'm like kind of off of my routines. Like I'm not doing my routine that I think I usually would be doing. And the more I like reflected on this, I listened to a couple podcasts just talking about like what it looks like for cold weather to impact your mental health, your routines, all of the things. And I really just have come up with the idea that for winter, it's hibernation season. Okay. And that doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. That doesn't mean that we're like, you know, pulling out like full bears here and like just like being done. But I do think that it's a really hard thing when you expect yourself to show up and be the same person you would be when the entire world is different. Like the entire circumstance around you, everything around you changes in the winter. The days are so much shorter. Obviously the temperature is a lot colder. And no matter where you live, you're dealing with a change to your environment. And when your environment changes, if you don't adapt and adjust to that, I think that you can lead to burnout and to just having a little bit of a harder time when it comes to expectations for yourself, right? Like in the summer, love to wake up super early and go on a really long walk with the sunrise. I mean, the sun's rising at like 6 a.m. So that works out really, really well in the summer. But in the winter, right now, the sun's not rising until like 7:30. And it's harder for me then to wake up early, be in the darkness the whole time, and it's cold, and it's harder to get out of bed. It's harder to, want to work out, for me at least, when I'm cold. And it like a lot changes, right? There's a lot of changes with that. And so I've deemed it my hibernation season because everyone else is hibernating. All the animals are hibernating. So maybe humans are meant to adjust a little bit more than that. And obviously, like we have like modern technology to help out, but so let's see. What I love so much is the balance of it all, though, because like I'm probably Ed Milet's like number one fan. I'm not gonna lie. I love Ed Milet with my entire heart. If you don't know who he is, he's an entrepreneur. He's a Christian, and he's the number one speaker in the world. So I'm not alone in my love for him, but he is very much the type of person that's like push hard, go farther, go faster, do the work, don't let up, kind of that mentality. And there's a lot to learn from that. There's a lot of goodness, and I love to pull out of that as much wisdom as I can. And whenever we get into the holiday season, he always says this is the time that everyone lets up. So don't be that person, like push harder. And I think that there's value in that. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's space for that. I think there's times where in December, it could be a really good time to push hard and to make the next jump, to finish 2023 strong, all of those things for sure. But at the same time, I do think there's something very natural, very, just the way we were created was to slow down in the winter. I think the entire world really shows that, and really shows the beauty that comes with a slower winter season. So that way your summer season can be where you work hard. And so I think there's balance between the two. I don't think December is necessarily meant to be the month where I'm going to go so much harder than I've ever gone before and be so intense. But I also don't want to completely let up of everything. So I feel like there's this balance here of hibernation season. So like I said, I mean, the dark days are instantly meaning that I want to sleep more. And I don't think that that's a wrong thing. I don't think that getting more rest in December, January, and February is inherently wrong. So I pushed back my wake up time. I wake up at 6:30 now. So before, like in the summer, for 2 months, we woke up at 5 a.m., my husband and I. Matt continues this pattern. I can't wake up and have it be dark for that long. It's just like, it takes its toll on my soul. Okay. I don't enjoy it at all. I way, way, way more prefer to just enjoy a little bit more of the sunlight that comes and allowing myself to sleep when the sun isn't up. It's just the way I prefer it. So I wake up at 6:30, and which it's still dark. So I'll do my Bible study. And then as the sun comes up, I'm able to start kind of getting in the groove because the sun rises around 7 here in the winter. So able to jump into the groove with it. And I love the sunlight clock. I know I've talked about this before. The Hatch alarm clock is really nice here because it does emulate the sun rising. So it's not waking up to a blaring light. It's not having to turn on all the overhead lights, anything like that. It's a lot more relaxed in the morning, which I really appreciate. Okay. So my mornings are instantly going to be slower. I'm not going to have as much time. I'm not going to take as long as a walk because it's 30 degrees. I don't want to go on a 2-mile walk outside when it's 30 degrees. And also my dog is very small and he starts shivering really badly. So he does not appreciate this either. When we go on a walk and it's 30 degrees, he hates it. So, kind of taking that out, but still wanting movement in. So I will do either a lunchtime or after work walk then to just kind of allow myself to, 1, the day to heat up, but then 2, to kind of break up my day a little bit more. So adjusting what my morning routine is and kind of maybe spreading it out a little bit more throughout the day instead of trying to jam it all in the morning like I would in the spring and summer and even in the fall. Okay. So a few other things that just make hibernation season magical. Okay. These are just some things that I feel like really help to embrace cozy season, to embrace the slowness of it all. Like I said, the lemon water or lemon tea with raw honey, it's just perfect. It's literally perfect. I love it so much. It helps soothe all of my like my throat and stuff, because this is also the time where a lot of people get sick because of the changes in temperature and stuff. So during this time, I will just drink my nice lemon water. It helps soothe all of my sinuses, my throat, everything. And then I'm able to kind of keep going at a consistent pace because I'm not going to let sickness hold me back. I also will use a humidifier when we sleep at night, or a diffuser. I have a humidifier, but I've used a diffuser in the past to help keep the air a little bit more moisturized because the air starts to dry out. So like my lips get a lot more chapped. My throat wakes up very scratchy and dry. So I try to avoid all of that when I can in the winter, and a humidifier really helps with that. I actually have a diffuser going over here in my office to just try to keep more moisture in the air. And that helps a lot too, because you really don't want to be sick, right? Like sickness is, oh my gosh, so annoying. Because it just throws everything off so much for me. And so whatever steps I can take to avoid sickness is really helpful. And when you're going at the same pace, pushing yourself to be the same as you are in the summer, your environment is not the same. So sickness comes a lot easier. So I really suggest, even just for your overall like actual physical health, avoiding sickness, allow yourself to rest longer and keep the moisture in the air, keep the diffuser in the air, try to regulate that a bit more. And then I also do, if I'm not having my lemon water, I will do a hot decaf coffee. I'm a huge fan of that. All of the fun Christmas creamers are out. Oh, they're so bad for you. They're so bad for you. But how can you not during Christmas season, right? Like it's literally the best time for Christmas creamers. Because they're just amazing. I love a good peppermint flavor of anything. So that's where I will splurge a little bit, is I will do a hot decaf coffee and I will add in some sort of Christmas themed like creamer. And this will change a little bit as like the different seasons of hibernation of like January and February. It doesn't look the same as December because obviously the holidays change things, but moving on. I also think there's something so just in sync about watching documentaries in your hibernation season, okay? I'm not watching shows that are like crazy and just like intense or anything like that, or like these long movies or anything. There's just something good about a good documentary in your hibernation season. I do watch a lot of cult documentaries. They're fascinating to me. They're literally by far my favorite type of documentary because they're kind of true crime-ish, kind of religion-ish. And I love watching the way that just like society responds to people who are good leaders but leading in the wrong direction. And I also love just the general, just knowing what people think is just, it blows my mind. Like the way that they think, the way that their brain processes like information and the Bible, or, different religions. It blows my mind. I recently watched the Twin Flame documentary on Netflix. Freaking wild. Basically these people just, they decided that they were each other's twin flame, like their soulmate, basically, like their souls were separated and need to get put back together. And they built an entire cult around it. Still a live cult today. Like you could literally join today. Actually wild. And it's called the Twin Flame. And they make you pay thousands upon thousands of dollars, take all these classes to find your twin flame. And they claim that you like will know it. And like they start off kind of, I'm going to say maybe normal, just like, okay, like you're basically learning how to find love. Then they get crazier because like they're the only person that can assign you your twin flame, and they're like telling you to stalk people. And then it gets to this whole point where all of a sudden your twin flame has to be in the cult, and it doesn't matter like what your sexual identity is, like you're going with the person that they assign you. Actually so wild, literally insane. And there's like screenshots and everything. It's so wild. So anyways, if you're looking for a good cult documentary, Twin Flame on Netflix, fantastic. But I love to watch a good documentary during the hibernation season, and kind of similarly a good thriller book. Okay, I think thriller books, like kind of like the psychological thrillers, the slow burn where it's like maybe like a little mystery in it, are so good. I will praise her forever. Is Frida McFadden. This woman is iconic, incredible, one of the best authors ever. I love her books. I've been reading some like really crazy ones, like their Criminal Minds episodes almost in a book format. Absolutely wild. I just read a really, really twisted one, and it was called Brother. So I don't know what this says about me, that I like to watch a lot of cult documentaries and a lot of thriller books, but I guess I just like to be scared And truthfully, I just genuinely enjoy reading about people and the human mind and the way that they twist things. I just genuinely love learning about people who twist things. So anyways, all that being said, what are we eating during hibernation season? We'll get into that. Soup. That's so cheesy. No, but I've just been loving like a good soup, like a thick cracked red pepper, tomato basil with some sourdough bread. That is just top tier, so good. I also, like I said, because I'm not necessarily walking the outside 2 miles, I got a walking pad for my office. So while I'm working, I walk while I'm doing emails or projects. I walk in my office. So it's kind of like a treadmill, but there's no thing to hold on to. So I'm working at my desk and then it's just like the flat pad as I walk. And I try to walk like between 2.5, 3 miles. Sometimes this gets just a little fast as I'm trying to like type. So I'll slow it down. I keep it mine at a slight incline of like, only like a 5 incline. So it's not like as crazy as like a 3, 12, 20. But the next thing you know, you like literally worked out for like, I will walk like 2 hours and be so sucked into a project. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just walked like literally, 5, 6 miles. So whatever, it's crazy, but I highly suggest if you do work at home, like getting a walking pad because it does help a lot. Next thing, I know we talked about cold plunging at the beginning of this, but there is something so nice about a nice warm shower during hibernation season, like a warm shower. I try to avoid warm showers, especially in the summer for like my skin health, for my hair health, just all of it. But sometimes in the winter, you just need a nice warm shower. And so whenever I take a warm shower, I do try to make it cold at the end to try to lock up all the skin cells again to, make sure my hair isn't like there. I forget what happens to your hair in a hot shower. It's not good for your hair to be like sitting in heat though, obviously. So I will try to go cold afterwards, give myself a little boost of energy with that. So that feels good too. And then obviously in my hibernation season, I'm all about the sweaters. I'm wearing one if you're watching the video. So that's super cozy and sweet, and I just love it so much. So this episode was kind of like chill, really relaxed, but I also wanted to end with some just kind of exciting news about the whole Spotify Wrapped came out. So all of my Apple podcast listeners, my YouTube listeners, my Anchor, Google, Amazon, all of you guys, like I see you, I know you're there, but the Spotify Wrapped came out, and that's just so fun. And it was honestly such an honor, especially the fact that I found out that we have listeners in 27 countries over the last year. 27 countries. So obviously most of you guys are in Canada, the UK, Australia, obviously America. But just knowing that there were 27 countries that wanted to tune into this, it blew my mind. It really did. We are so close to 10K downloads, which equally blows my mind. Like I can't fathom that, because 10K is a huge number for a podcast. And it's huge. And I just feel so grateful because, this is such a sweet space and I love getting to hang out with you guys every time. And every week is just so fun as we get to dive into new episodes, and I don't know. I love it all so much, and I love you guys, and I'm so grateful. And guys, we're international. Like, how cool, okay? How freaking amazing is that? So anyways, I love you all so much. I hope you enjoy your hibernation season, and just a heads up, for the rest of December, we are getting super into goal setting, vision casting, habits, making them stick, all of the things that we need to set ourselves up for success in 2024. So stay tuned because that's going to be a lot, and we've got a lot going on. So yay!